Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with Westworld Season 2 Premiere Review. Alright, so we are back with Westworld. I know a lot of people, they've waited almost, I think it's been almost 2 years, right, since the first season came out. But for me personally, I just finished season 1 about a month ago. So I've been actually, pretty lucky in that sense. Not lucky that I didn't see it when it originally came out, because honestly, I just had a few friends suggest it to me a couple months ago, and honestly, it didn't take me long. I mean, it really took me about a week and a half or 2 weeks to finish, the whole 10 and a half hours, right, of season 1. So I really, really enjoy the show. And yeah, so it hasn't been that long for me since I've seen the finale. So to me, I really enjoyed a lot of this stuff. I know that some people, they did like a previously on, and I loved it. Like, just to show like how, big and how much stuff happened in season 1. Like, the previously on was literally like 4 minutes, right? Like, showing all the stuff that happened. And that's just like the big things, right? So anyways, I just thought that was kind of cool there. But yeah, so I actually remembered like pretty much everything. And obviously there's some new things in here, right? That I didn't notice, of course. No one would notice that. But yeah, so anyways, I just wanted to say that, and I'm really happy that it's back, and really happy that we're doing, and we're here for season 2. So I'm not sure exactly if I'll be doing reviews week to week for this show. It's just, getting really busy with, I'm going to be doing the 100 now this week. That's one of my favorite shows on TV, or at least it was. Season 4 kind of brought that down, but anyways, so that's coming, and then I also, of course, have The Terror, The Crossing, so I want to stay loyal to those shows instead of, kind of picking up another one. But if I have time, for sure, and I mean, these are Sunday nights as well, so if I do, definitely gonna look into doing this week by week, but at least I think I'll do the first couple episodes here, and get into the season here. So anyways, yeah, so and I also want to thank you guys for the support. Recently I've reached 100 subscribers now, so really, really appreciate that. The subscribers, the comments, the likes, I mean, the views, everything. So it's just been really awesome lately, and I really, really do appreciate it. So just want to get that out first, and then we'll of course, get into the review here. Just put together a little bit of a recap, took some notes here about, I actually thought there was a lot of good dialogue in this one, a lot of meaningful lines, where in some shows, of course, you don't get that. But in this show, I just feel like there's so many, lines, and just the way, the interaction and everything. So I just really feel like that's really important. So I wrote some of those down. So we'll just go over a quick recap there in that sense. And then, of course, my rating, favorite character, and some more overall thoughts then at the end of the review. So anyways, so yeah, I just want to quickly talk about season 1 overall, because of course I didn't review the show. Looking back at it, I actually probably could have, but I don't know. I mean, a year and a half later, are people really going to be interested? I don't know, maybe. It could be possible, but anyways. So season 1, like I said, I really, really enjoyed it. This show's theme, honestly, I just think it's so relevant in today's world. And even just, I mean, it's so interesting. I mean, the reality, right? I mean, you're watching the show, and you actually, kind of start to question, your reality, if you're, really diving into the show, and you start thinking about this, right? And following these concepts. And I just think it's really important in today's world, like I said, because of all the technology advances and all this stuff, talking about, building like robots like this. And I mean, you could kind of, I mean, this is kind of a stretch, but I mean, the stuff with like Google Home, and then you have like, the Amazon thing, Siri, right? All that stuff. I mean, a voice is talking to you. And I mean, I've even heard some people that are talking about how, they're just talking to somebody in the room, and all of a sudden, this machine picks it up and it starts talking to them. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, as long as technology advances here, and I have no doubt that this actually could happen. I mean, a park like this could definitely be possible, right? So this whole show, I mean, I hear a lot of people saying, well, it's kind of science fiction or whatever, or it's just fictional, but honestly, obviously I don't think it's going to happen soon, right? But I would honestly see, maybe 10 years down the line, maybe even longer than that, that we may actually see something like this. So, to that point, I mean, like, this show just, kind of shows you an example of what can happen if we don't, properly control that and everything. So, yeah, I just really think it's really relevant and also just really interesting. I say to some of my friends, I mean, you just want to get your mind kind of fucked with here. This is the show to watch. I mean, there's so many twists and everything. So, and it looks like they're keeping that up just where they left off with season one in this episode. So, really great stuff. This is honestly one of my favorite shows on TV, actually. I really fell in love with season one, and I really wish I saw it earlier. I honestly do, and I know a lot of people, some of my friends that suggested to me were rewatching it this past week to get ready for the season two. So yeah, it's a really big show, and HBO has really done well with this one. Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy. The creators, really good job, and like I said, I mean, I think it's a really relevant show. You get some shows out there, I mean, and in a sense, I mean, for example, Walking Dead. Yeah, like people talk about an apocalypse happening, but this is like actual, this really could happen as technology advances, and we've already seen that, right? We've come a long way already. So what's to say that we can't get to this level where they have, an amusement park full of robots, so, or hosts, right? So yeah, it's really cool in that sense. But yeah, so anyways, just want to touch on that. Those are my opinions there. And of course, please comment down below what you thought of the episode. And if you disagree or agree with me, whatever. I love to have these discussions, about the shows and everything. So really appreciate that. So we start out in this one. So we see Arnold, which I'm a little bit still confused on. I mean, Bernard, Arnold, right? It's the same, thing. So it's a little bit confusing, but this is Arnold talking to Dolores at this point. And this was a great first scene of the episode here. Just kind of like a flashback, but really very true to what's going on right now in the episode. So he says, "I'm frightened of what you might become." So true, right? I mean, that's one of those, like I said before, the lines, the dialogue, and all that stuff. Really important. And this line is just crazy. I mean, so true. I'm frightened of what you might become. Even at that point, when he was building Dolores, he knew that, she was catching on fast, and she kind of confronted him and said, oh, like, you're lying to me or whatever. And he was even surprised that she could sense that. And now look at where she is, right? So, yeah, he was right to be frightened, and now that's kind of come true right now. So, yeah, that was a really good scene there at the beginning. So then I think I'm going to cover each of these storylines. They kind of followed four kind of storylines or four characters in this episode, and they kind of broke it up that way too. So I'm just going to talk about one of the characters at a time and kind of go in that sense. So we see Bernard wakes up on the beach, and I'm still not exactly sure, we don't see in this episode how he gets to the beach exactly. Like I have no idea. Unless I missed something, we don't see how he got to the beach yet. So I assume that we'll see that maybe in next episode. But anyways, so we also see the aftermath of the big event of the finale, right? With Ford getting shot by Dolores, and then Dolores and a bunch of the hosts just going all wild and shooting and killing everybody at that gala thing, right? And then we see the lead security man. I forget his name, but he lived, so he's still alive. Even though I was kind of led to believe that he died in the finale from the Ice Nation or whatever, the Ghost Nation, sorry. Yeah, so but apparently he's fine and he's alive now. So they're bringing the military in on ships, and it's a huge thing, right? It's a big deal now. They're taking all these men are coming in, so really crazy stuff here, and they're taking this pretty damn seriously, right? And I will say, I mean, I don't know if people kind of like this comparison, but I honestly saw a lot of stuff with Jurassic Park in this one, to be honest. I mean, Jurassic Park, you have dinosaurs, and they are posing a huge threat to humans. In this sense, we created, well, I mean, even in that sense, right? Even in Jurassic Park, they created the dinosaurs. So, again, like that connection between these two stories, obviously very different. But, to kind of have that same theme of there's something that we created that actually is posing a threat to us, right? Unintentionally, we didn't mean to, right? And now they're actually posing a threat to us, and now we have to, get the military and whatever, get help to come and try to defeat it, right? Because we always want to, remain on top, top of the food chain. So I really see that connection well. I don't think I've seen many people talk about that, but that's really what I thought of when I first even, heard the news of what they were planning this season about fighting back and all this stuff. That's kind of what I thought of. So then we see the head of operations man comes in, and he says this is the biggest loss of life on a Delos property. So Delos is obviously the company who kind of owns the park, I guess, who holds like the majority share or something like that. No, I think they do own it. So that's very interesting too. I mean, how many, crazy stuff like this is broken out on Delos properties? I don't know. But yeah, obviously a lot of lives lost already. So he walks with Bernard a little bit, right, and kind of talks to him, asks him, what he knows. And Bernard, of course, is shaken up. And of course, nobody knows he is one of them, right? And he's like really worried about this because he sees this, and we see him look back at it over and over again. As they just execute these hosts, right? Just there on the beach, they just shoot them. And I will say Stephen Ogg was back for this episode. It looks like that was the only episode he was back for. So he's been on Walking Dead and Westworld within a year. So that's pretty awesome for Stephen Ogg. But anyway, so he died. He got shot. He was executed there. So Bernard obviously knows if they find out, they're gonna execute him and he's gonna die. So obviously he's trying to keep that a secret, and he's playing on that they all think he's a human. They think that he's him. He's them. And that just plays again into the theme that, how do you even tell the difference between these things at this point? I mean, Jurassic Park, you could tell, oh, well, that's a dinosaur. But in this, like, they look the exact same. And I mean, people fell, for Bernard being a human for all these years. So it's really, really crazy to even see that as well. So then we see that Bernard's stuck with Miss Hale after the events of the gala. So this was kind of like a flashback / current time. They kind of, flip-flopped between the two. And then she says that they are stuck there, in the park until they send Delos, the Abernathy host, then they will come and help, right? So, Delos is, willing to watch all these people die on their property and everything like that until they get this Abernathy host so that they can, get the information and get the tech basically from it. So, they can build another park. And that's just, totally realistic. I would totally believe that would happen. So, anyways, so we see that a little bit, and I don't think that was ever really resolved. They tracked him down in this episode, but the resolution of that at least hasn't been seen. So then we go back to present time and they find Arnold's dead body. I heard some theories out there that he faked his death, or there was a lot of talk around that, but I think this kind of confirms that he's dead for sure, because we see his body. I mean, that's him. He's dead. So I think that's kind of confirmation. And I think that's exactly why they showed that, just to kind of, show the viewers. But anyways, that was kind of interesting there, and kind of emotional too. I mean, Ford was kind of a likable character, at least to me. I kind of enjoyed him, but, very mysterious, of course, right? Then the team goes to find the group of hosts that they see on this map. It's like a huge cluster of them, and they're wondering, where they are, what's going on. So they find a sea that nobody knew about, right? They're trying to track down these hosts, and they find, this huge, sort of like cavern, I guess, or not a cavern, but just this like huge body of water, out there, and nobody knew about this, right? And they said, if Ford did this, someone would have had to know about it. Apparently no one did. So big mystery here. And then they find dozens and dozens of hosts just floating in the water and washed up on the beach. So, what happened? And obviously, they're dead, right? So what happened here? And this is kind of the cliffhanger of the episode. And then we end with, he killed them, all of them. That's what Bernard says. I think it's he. I played this back literally 5 times trying to hear, because he says, or something like that. And it sounds like I at first. But then I think he says he killed them. So he's saying he killed them as in Ford killed them, I think. So if I get that wrong, if you guys have, better audio, I guess, of the episode, I don't know, then, definitely comment that. But I'm pretty sure he said he. But again, like I said, I played that back like 5 times and I still didn't really for sure get that. But anyways, that was a crazy end of the episode there, and obviously looking into that and see what that means. So then we see Dolores' actions after killing Ford. She basically goes on this rampage, right, killing all these guests, right. And brutally killing them too, right? I mean, really no sympathy or anything to them, because now she is finally conscious, right? She's making these decisions herself instead of following the program, right? Following her loop or whatever. So obviously, big stuff, and there was a lot of good quotes and lines, and all these scenes with her in this one. So she talks to the one. This is the scene where the three of them are kind of about to be hanged on, and they're standing on the crosses there. And I mean, you really see, like, these three people were literally just there for the gala, and now they're getting killed by, a robot, essentially, right? Fighting back. So, just a kind of an unfortunate, event there that they're there at that time. But anyways, so she talks to the one about questioning her reality, right? And she's finally, kind of she knows the difference now between a dream and what's real and all this stuff, because she's conscious, right? So then she questions the woman and says, okay, well, what are your drives? Okay, survival, right? Because she says, don't kill me, whatever. So she doesn't want to die. But then Dolores also says that there's a drive in humans to hurt and to kill, and that's why they made this place and made them. And I mean, I agree. I mean, I really don't see, anything wrong with that statement. I think she's right. She's kind of realizing all this stuff. And if you really think about it, I mean, deep down, I mean, again, this is like just a really big question. I mean, do we, think the same as, of these robots as we do humans, right? If they look exactly the same, right? They look exactly the same as humans, right? And they act the same, and they can do all the same things. Well, then what's different, right? So, that's a big question too, right? So anyways, at the end of the day, that's what she says there. And she says, made this place to be prisoners of your own desires, but now you're prisoner to mine. So really crazy stuff there. And then I think she gets the guy, standing up on the cross there, hanging, and presumably leaves them to starve, right? I mean, they're eventually going to die if they don't get any food or water, or, anyone comes and rescues them. And then she talks about the Wyatt in her, right? So she is Wyatt. We confirmed that in the finale last season about how she's Wyatt, and she's also the rancher's daughter, Dolores. So very interesting there. And then again, we get that quote, right? We get that line, these violent delights have violent ends. And that's, of course, from the finale when she shoots Ford in the back of the head. So really, really crazy stuff there. That's obviously going to be a quote, a really significant quote going forward, or at least a line, I should say, going forward. And then she says, you guys have made me play all these roles, all the lives I've lived. And that's so true. I mean, she's lived, many, many lives, right? And she says, you've made me play so many roles, so many lives. And she said, I have one last role to play, myself. And it's like, damn, right? That's, crazy stuff. She's finally realizing that, she's been coded and she's been programmed to do all this stuff. And now she's finally actually going to do what she wants, right? So crazy stuff. And I mean, that line right there is just, scary. Because obviously now we know that she has full control and that she's doing what she wants now finally instead. So really great stuff there, and all this stuff is pretty deep. I mean, this show really presents a lot of deep themes here. And then we see the bond between Dolores and Teddy a little bit. They kind of make out under the sun there. So that was kind of an interesting scene. And Dolores wants him to be a part of what she's doing, of course. And then she says she's going to go and show him something. And of course we don't see that in this episode, so we'll have to see that next episode, of course. So yeah, then we get to the stuff with William, right? And this was a big reveal for me. I mean, I was kind of pissed off, to be honest. We see that whole thing with William and Logan the whole season 1, and then in the finale everything comes to a halt, and it's like, oh well, that was all Dolores' dream, right? That isn't really the present. That isn't really what's happening. So I don't know. I just felt kind of like gypped that we've been watching this story with William and Logan this whole time, and it wasn't even real. Like, it wasn't even actually happening. It did happen, but not in the present time. So That was it just kind of pissed me off, but a really really cool twist. There's so many good twists in season one at the end there. I would say the Bernard one was probably the biggest twist for me. And again, like I said, that even proves. I mean, we thought that he was human, or at least most of us thought that he was human the whole way through until it was revealed that he wasn't. So what does that tell you, right? What does that tell you, about the difference between the two, right? But anyways, so we see that William survived the whole gala event, the whole attack there, and he sees this wolf running around. So he gets up and he sees this wolf. That was really weird. What does that mean, right? What does the wolf symbolize? So we'll have to see, as the season goes on. I'm guessing I will see the answer for that, and hopefully get the meaning behind that, right? Because it's kind of weird that there's just a wolf running around. So anyways, then he takes out a couple hosts. That was kind of a badass scene there with William, classic, and then he gets all that blood on his face and everything, and he puts that hat back on. That was a really cool scene there to see. And then we see that William finds a little boy again towards the end of the episode there, and it turns out that it's really Robert talking, or at least William hears Robert talking in the little boy. So that was very interesting. And the little boy essentially says that this is a whole new game, right? It's a whole new game. The host can now attack, the humans. It's a totally different, type of thing. And that it's meant for William, right? This whole game is meant for him. And I think he said, when you find the door, that's when you win, right? When you exit, that's when you win. So, when you get out of this world, then you actually win. And William's like totally up for it, right? He's pretty excited actually. He's pretty, freaking floored that finally the host can now strike back. He's probably one of the only ones that thinks that. So anyways, then he shoots the little kid. So that was, just seeing that kind of ruthlessness of William, of course, there playing out. So anyways, that was pretty cool there. And of course, we'll see a lot more, I think, of William this season and see his storyline kind of play out a little bit more. But that's about it. That's about it from this episode that we got from him. Then we get the stuff with Maeve, right? So this was very interesting. I mean, I was wondering when we get back to her. We only got back to her little story here, I'd say about halfway through the episode. So I was a little bit worried there, but we did get back to it. So she ends up finding Lee. I mean, this character of Lee, I honestly, like, he's one of those guys where it's like, how is this guy still alive? In an event like this and everything goes down, I mean, this guy is still alive, like, how, right? But anyway, so she finds Lee, right, and he volunteers to help her in order to survive. And this was just kind of funny. I mean, I don't know. He just seems so pathetic, right? He's such a pathetic character. And he's pretty much, he'll do anything to survive, and he, he's willing to help her, whatever. So then Maeve, of course, we know that she only came back to find her supposed daughter, right? And I mean, it's not really her daughter. But the fact that she still doesn't exactly see that, and I mean, Lee kind of even tries to question her, says, well, that's not real. And then, she makes a good point too about, well, is this real? Is me touching you real and everything like that? And of course, yeah, the answer, at least to us, and what we perceive, to be real is yes, right? That is real. So very interesting, right? I mean, is her daughter real then in that sense? So again, like I say, another deep question there. But anyways, so we see the aftermath of what Maeve and Hector and the tattoo girl, I forget her name, but basically what the three of them did, they started pretty much the big stand, right, in the main headquarters, gunning down many, I wouldn't say soldiers, but, sergeants, right, guards or whatever, gunning them pretty much all down. I mean, there's, of course, a team that we saw in this episode, but I don't think there's that many left. And we did see as well with Hector, Maeve finds him a little bit later in the episode, and he has like 6 bullet holes at least, or bullet wounds, sorry. And so obviously we get the idea that, I mean, they can be shot as many times pretty much as possible, and they can still move and they can still go. Well, of course, humans, I mean, we get, shot once. It's pretty much, unless, and I mean, like, in a main organ, I mean, it's death, right? We're done. And that's just the way it is. So, obviously, we see a little bit of imbalance here between the two sides. So nobody is allowed to control the park. That was pretty crazy, right? They go to that big control room there, and everyone's just dead, right? They're just wasted on the ground, blood everywhere and all that stuff. and Lee just can't believe it. I mean, he's, flabbergasted. He can't believe that, all these hosts have taken them out. So now we know that the park is, no one is controlling it. Pretty much everyone is dead that was in that control room. And there's just, a few people on the outside pretty much alive in the actual park rather than the actual, like, headquarters, right? So really, really crazy. I mean, the whole event is just, really crazy. So then later in the episode, I thought this was actually significant. Maybe, maybe it's not, but to me at least, I thought this was pretty significant. So Maeve then later makes Lee strip down until he is completely naked, right? And this was interesting, and of course, Lee objects, of course, but, she's like, do it or you're gonna die, right? So she basically is the ultimate threat over him. So she makes him strip down, right? She makes him strip down in front of him. I don't really think we need to see that whole thing. In this show, I do appreciate the whole, thing because, the nudity in the show has usually been, the hosts and whatever. But sometimes I just feel like because it's HBO, it goes a little bit too far. And it's like, do we really need to see Simon Quarterman, who plays Lee, do we really need to see him fully nude in this scene to understand what was going on? I mean, probably not, right? I don't know. That's just my opinion. I just feel like that sometimes they just use that too much in the show. And in all HBO shows, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. That's just how they are. So, anyways, the whole thing about it, why I thought it was significant, is she makes him strip down to let him feel how they all feel as they're constantly nude, right? They're constantly naked every time they die or come back, right? So I thought this was very interesting that she can even realize this, or at least, process that is how, that is going to make him kind of feel how they feel, right? I mean, that's true. I mean, like, letting them, or making them walk around, naked and whatever, wouldn't that be kind of embarrassing for them or whatever? Of course, probably not embarrassing when they're in their loop or whatever. They wouldn't even know. But now that she's, kind of conscious in a sense, right? She knows what's going on. Obviously, she feels that. So, very interesting there. I thought that was significant. Maybe, maybe it wasn't. It was just kind of a throwaway scene, maybe. But that's what I thought they were trying to do in that one. Maeve was trying to let him feel how they feel, right? And kind of and that's what kind of this whole season is about, I think, right? Is the host fighting back and kind of showing the humans, right? The controllers of this world, what they've dealt with, for the past, years on years. And now, finally the humans are realizing that what they have been doing is maybe not the best, right? Maybe not right, even maybe not moral. So, depends what you think. But overall, just to wrap things up, there's about 4 storylines being followed in this ep, and maybe that'll continue on in the season. I think at least the next couple episodes, I think it will. Just the way they kind of they totally split it up, too. So, there's literally we're at Bernard for, 5-10 minutes. Then we're at Dolores for 5-10 minutes. So, I really like the way they did that in this episode. I appreciated that. And I think they're going to do that in the next couple episodes going forward. If not the whole season, I could maybe see that. But we'll have to see, of course. So yeah, essentially this season, the hosts are breaking out, led by Dolores, right? And I think that she's the leader. I mean, Maeve is kind of leading her own thing right there at the headquarters now. But I think Dolores is kind of the main leader, right? She's conscious now, essentially. So she's kind of, she knows the most out of all of them. She knows what's going on, and she can control exactly what she's doing. With Maeve, I'm not exactly sure she's still in control because of in the finale there, Bernard told her that someone still wrote this storyline for her. So someone is still making those choices for her. But she obviously objected. So I'm not exactly convinced that she's still making all of these decisions herself, but we'll have to see. But we know that Dolores is. So, yeah, very interesting there. And what are the humans going to do, right? How are they going to fight back? And how did this all happen, right? I mean, we kind of know that maybe, Ford made this new storyline of all these, hosts, getting back at the guests and the humans finally. But obviously we need a little bit more of a backstory here for how this all happened and why. Why would Arnold do this? Why would, why would Ford do this? to his fellow race, right? So, anyways, two good questions to ask, and I'm sure they'll be answered in the next few episodes, if not, by the entire season. So, really great stuff there, and now I'll get to my overall thoughts. All right, so in terms of a rating for this episode, I'm going to give it a 4.7 out of 5. Yeah, I really like that they resumed basically right where we left off. I really, really enjoy it. I mean, I think it's like maybe a couple days after, something like that, but I say this in a lot of my reviews, but I really, really like it when shows leave off, right, for the end of a season, or at least the mid-season, or even an episode, like a huge thing happens in an episode. They come back the next episode and they resume exactly where they left off. I really, really like that. Way better than, oh, they're 2 months down the road and that's been fixed now, right? I just really don't like that. And Westworld is a show that wouldn't really do that. So I really, really appreciate that they came back. I love the new storyline that they're going with this season. I really think it again, like I said, it's a really, a relevant thing in today's world. And I think this is something that, needs to be, paid attention to as we advance in technology as well. So I really like this whole storyline about the host finally fighting back, right? All of season 1, we kind of saw hosts being controlled, their storylines, their loops, but now they're kind of breaking out of that and obviously, attacking the humans and getting back at them now, finally. So, yeah. So I really enjoy that storyline, and I think it's going to be really, really fun, really interesting, to see that play out. So really, really awesome here. The acting, just amazing. I mean, everyone involved, I really, really enjoy the acting. I think in all HBO shows, the acting is really, really good. Really everyone. I mean, Jeffrey Wright, and Evan Rachel Wood. I mean, I'm gonna highlight her, but I mean, she did a really good job in this episode. So, and there's a lot of these characters. I mean, Maeve, for example, Thandie Newton, I think is how you pronounce that. But anyway, so she's doing an amazing job. And just think of episode 1 or episode 2 when we were introduced to her, and now she's in this role. So that's kind of a totally different role to play if, as an actress for her. And she's doing an amazing job. So just a really, really great performances all around here. And that really, really helps out the show. I thought the military coming in, that sort of portion was a little cliche. Just some of the lines and some of the stuff that, was in there. I don't know. That's, the only part that I really didn't, love in this episode. But yeah, so I just felt like it was a little cliche at times. The whole thing about, the ships coming in and they, they're, flooding the sand or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it's, because I'm kind of comparing Jurassic Park. That's pretty much exactly what we saw in the second season. But I don't know. I just thought it was a little cliche, but maybe not. And then also it had some down scenes here and there. For a premiere, I don't know. I mean, this is pretty much what I expect. This actually exceeded my expectations, to be honest. I thought it was good. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt like there were some scenes, kind of throwaway scenes, I like to say, or kind of boring down scenes. But, I mean, you're going to get that. I mean, there was a lot of action in the finale, of course, a lot of, intense scenes, a lot of twists and everything. So this one was kind of slowing it down a little bit, slowing the pace down. Although we did see, still some action and killing and all that stuff. So yeah, for sure. But anyways, overall, yeah, 4.7 out of 5. Not a perfect episode, but I really, really liked it. And I think it sets the bar high here for this season, and really, really lays out exactly, what they're going for. And I think it's going to be an awesome season. I think it's going to be just as good as season 1, maybe even better. So, yeah, favorite character for this one is going to be Dolores, right? And for these favorite character, I mean, it's not like my I'm cheering for them, right? It's just, my most liked character, right now. And that's Dolores for this episode. So, Evan Rachel Wood, of course, the actress who plays Dolores. She's been True Blood, Whatever Works, the Larry David movie there. But not, I mean, and she's been in, some stuff. But this is probably her biggest role, right? This is probably her biggest role by far of anything she's done. And she's amazing. I mean, she's doing such a great job. I honestly can't imagine, at some points, I mean, in season 1, these actors, I mean, they have to freeze, because they are robots, right? And they're acting, like them. So really, I just can't imagine. Maybe it's not that difficult, but me at least watching it, I just think that would be really, really difficult to do some of those scenes. So, anyways, I think she's doing an amazing job. I think she's perfect pick for this character. And obviously, in terms of Dolores, the actual character in the show, where is she gonna go? I mean, she's basically on this killing spree here. She wants to get back at the humans. Now she's finally making her own decisions and everything, and she's kind of the leader of a bunch of these hosts now, and kind of commanding them to do what she wants. So and especially Teddy too, right? She wants Teddy to kind of, go with her, even though he's not quite at that same level as her, right? But obviously, he wants to strike back as well. So, anyways, really great character there. We'll have to see where they take her in this season going forward. But, anyways, that'll just about do it for the review. Sorry about the little bit, it was a little bit long for this review. I wanted to keep this a little bit shorter, but really just want to talk a little bit about season 1 and the whole theme of the show as well. So, that, it is what it is. But, anyways, thank you so much for watching this review. Thank you so much for the support on the channel. I really, really appreciate it. Can't thank you guys enough. So, hopefully I will see you next week for episode 2. But, if not, I may be back for some episodes here. But for sure, I'm going to keep watching it week to week because I'm really, really in love with this show. And I think season 2 is going to be awesome. So, anyways, once again, thank you so much for watching. And I'll see you next time in my next review.